The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hasselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And in that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Frank. Good to be with you again.
Happy first day of spring.
Yes, right.
Does it feel it?
No, not really.
No, not really. We've got a lot to talk about. I think we should probably start with the budget process right now and the one house budget vote. What are you seeing? What was your experience there on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is part of the process. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks, or about a week ago, we passed the respective one house budgets. That really kind of just sets the tone after the budget hearings. After the governor presents her budget, we have a bunch of budget hearings. Mm-hmm. Then both the Senate and the Assembly passed their one house budgets, was basically is a progressive wish list of what their priorities are, and they have a lot of priorities. Very ambitious, as I said, the Mayor Mondami was in, but that's their priorities. Yeah. And what their priorities in the Assembly did is that spent $9.2 billion more than the governor already proposed, which would be $13 billion more than last year.
Where's it coming from?
Well, the people.
Exactly.
And I said this over and over again. Yeah. Far too often, my colleagues and this governor think it's their money to spend, not the people's money. I mean, everyone at home who's listening or watching, and the businesses, they're making tough decisions each and every day. The state of New York should do the same thing, but they forget it's the people's money. Yeah. That's part of the problem.
They spend it. I mean, the old drunken sailor idea, and I know people say don't insult drunken sailors that way, because it's gotten so. When you see it, we have accepted. Last time you were on the program, before this all happened, we were saying we know it's going to be even higher than what Hochul wants. What Hochul wants is way too high.
Way too high.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing I see over and over again too is we don't have a revenue problem in New York. We have a spending problem. Yeah. We have enough with what we take in to pay for our priorities and to control spending. I mean, when you look at the amount of money, just how much we're increasing. I mean, like I said, they want to spend $9 billion more than the government. I mean, the Senate was even more than that. That their one house budget, the Assembly one house budget, had over $12 billion in tax increases. I mean, and they had tax cuts too, some those are good things, but it's still a net tax increase by over $3 billion. And in particular, you hit high income earners, which they think are going to bail us out when they're already the highest paying individuals right now. But part of it, their taxes, they have business taxes in there as well. I mean, going after the financial industry, the financial services industry, the financial sector.
That's already leaving. And they are really an anchor of our economy. We know New York City, the stock market, the financial sector is really an anchor. It drives capital investment. It drives thousands of really good paying jobs. Of course.
And what these types of policies do is just want to give it more incentive for these businesses to relocate and move to other states like Texas and Florida. Well, that's why they already are.
That's why Hochul's on, and everybody's talked about it this morning. It's so cringeworthy. She's begging millionaires to come back.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to work. It reminds me of Governor Cuomo saying, "Come on back. I know you're leaving because of the weather climate.
The weather.
They're not leaving because of the weather climate. They're leaving because of the business climate. They're leaving because of the tax climate. They're leaving because of the regulatory climate. They're leaving because of the freedom climate. That's why people are leaving and continue to leave this state."
And according to Wallet Hub, I saw this on Empire Report yesterday, that we were ranked, and I actually think this is generous, 41st for the worst place to start a new business.
Yeah.
I think it'd be worse, because the thing is, I don't think this takes into account, businesses aren't even looking at us.
No,
at this point.
I remember at an energy hearing, and John Howard, the former PSC chairman, was there, and I brought up the point that there was a story before that, and I talk about this on the green energy stuff, that they passed $43 billion in future ratepayer increases, and no one for pay for these green energy programs. Like, no one pays attention. I mean, the governor criticizes the utility rate increases, which they're not to blame too, but when $43 billion is approved by the PSC or her appointees for green energy mandates, it's like no one's paying attention. And he said, Assemblyman, you know who's paying attention? The site selectors for those businesses that are looking for places to go. And we talk to people, even in this business, even in the one house budget, they want to decouple from the federal tax cuts. I mean, I met with the manufacturer industry. They say if we decouple from the proposed federal tax cuts, acceleration of capital investment and things like that,
they won't make as much investment in New York, and they could look elsewhere. Because if Pennsylvania and Ohio aren't decoupling, if they're going along with some of these taxes, especially for manufacturing, which we need,
Right.
that's going to have a significant impact on that. I mean, you can go through. There's a litany. There's income taxes. There's business taxes. There's a tax. They want is one house I don't think would advance, but on crypto tax mining.
Yeah.
I mean, and I had one of my colleagues was saying, well, there's no benefit from those businesses. That's nonsense. He said there's no jobs. I go, up in Greenwich, up in Yates County, you have over 30 plus jobs there, making over 80 grand a year, paying millions of dollars in property taxes, but also paying money in sales taxes, both to the locals and to the state, because when you do behind the meter, you pay tax on it. But they're a natural gas power plant, providing power to the grid. And when the grid needs the power, they provide the power to the grid. They shut down the Bitcoin mining that they're doing there. So I mean, some people don't like it, and it's their natural gas power plant, and they want to. How does that work? And how's that going to work when they're making their own power and providing it? And you're going to tax them more for doing it and providing that benefit to the grid. So there's a lot of things. I mean, they have a nicotine pouch tax.
I saw that. People are outraged.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I mean, I questioned the tax commissioner during the budget hearing on this. I'm like, they're not looking at the harm prevention being avoided.
Yes.
And the tax that they want to tax it like tobacco products. I mean, it's going to make that almost as expensive or similar to the price of a pack of cigarettes. What incentive is there for a smoker to get off smoking?
Right.
When they can't, it's too expensive. I mean, it's and they're trying to say they're marketing to kids. They're not marketing.
They do the same
kids.
thing with vape. And I mean, I saw so many people that had struggled to quit for, 30, 40 years, take that up, and then what happens? We ban it or we cause outrageous things. What do? They go back and buy their pack of cigarettes.
Right, and I mean, we spend over $7 billion annually on Medicaid for smoking-related type diseases, and tobacco, but yet. So and this is just a money grab too.
Yeah,
it's not gonna.
No.
What you're gonna do is you're gonna create an illicit market, just like you saw with the cannabis stuff.
Yeah.
You still see, of course, and that's a whole other issue. You're gonna see people that will just go to Pennsylvania. You'll see people go to a Native American reservation to get it.
Or online access.
Or online, yes, but it's just gonna hurt businesses. But you're gonna hurt people that really want the opportunity to quit smoking. And nicotine's maybe not great for your health, but compared to smoking, I think it's a better alternative. And why are we going to make it so much that it's going to be problematic for these individuals to try to quit smoking? I mean, that's just part of the priority, but it's all really their priorities are more tax and spend. It's more the same, more uncontrolled and unsustainable taxes and spending and debt, and that's what we're seeing with their budget presentation they're proposing. After that, this past week, we had our general budget conference committees, which kind of looks to set table targets. When they started years ago, they used to be more substantive. Really, it's just kind of turned to more of a performa type thing, where everyone kind of sets their positions on the different issues. But it's just part of the process. Now, what we'll see is we'll start negotiating. It should be 5-way negotiations, in my opinion. But the three leaders, the governor, the speaker, the majority, will start to negotiate. We continue to press on those priorities that we think need to be pressed on, trying to hold the fight to the fire. I mean, the other thing that I talked about that wasn't a part of the budget, the one-house budget, that there's nothing in the assembly to roll back any of the costly CLCPA mandates, the green energy mandates.
Right.
Nothing on the EV school bus mandate. No stops at all.
Yeah. We actually have a question on that. Let's take a break because I have a question on that as well.
Sure.
So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, we have Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Phil, we want to get to some questions from viewers. First of all, Mark says, Phil, the other day, Frank showed a clip of you in the New York State Assembly. By the way, thank you for those clips. They're wonderful. They're really a hit. The more, the merrier, okay? And they said you were speaking and people were on their cell phones and getting up and moving around. It's like they weren't even paying attention to you. Totally disgraceful, in my opinion. Is that common practice?
It's kind of common,
Yeah.
but I don't begrudge them. And when I get up, I talk a lot, so a lot of what I say, they're used to hearing me say over and over again. I mean, that just happened this week again, but I understand what you're saying. It's better than them falling asleep when they're talking.
That's true.
Which happened to a colleague of mine.
Really?
I remember Nicole Maliatakis when she was running for mayor. She gave this beautiful and passionate speech, and there's one of my colleagues in the background who was just sound asleep.
Oh no.
Yeah, so she wasn't happy, but so I guess better to be on your cell phone than fall asleep. But I understand. I appreciate what the viewer is saying.
Good morning, Phil. I enjoy listening to your ideas to improve New York. Thank you for your experience and common sense. Have a relaxing weekend. Well, that's a nice one.
Thank you. I need it.
A comment from a different viewer.
You too.
Yes. Good morning, Phil and Frank. I want to thank Phil and Joe, because Joe's on the program on a regular basis, for helping sponsor some legislation to investigate ORES, the Office of Renewable Energy, citing holding them accountable to be totally transparent in their environmental decisions about solar panel industrial sites. It is a win for wildlife and the environment, and also we the people. Thank you. That's a nice one.
Thanks. ORES is, I don't like ORES. It's basically just ramrods wind and solar projects down the throats of local communities when they don't want it.
Oh, okay.
It basically gives the state total control to site wind and solar projects without local approval.
Because they don't even go to the local boards.
They don't go to local boards. They have no. It used to be like a secret process. It used to be Article 10, where you have at least a town board member or someone from the town and county on that committee. State was still controlled, but at least they were part of the process. Now they're not. Or sets it. They want to expedite these wind and solar projects, and people don't want them.
No. Comment from a different viewer. The question is for Phil. Why doesn't Kathy Hochul understand green energy is more expensive and not efficient? We need natural gas because it is less expensive and is renewable energy. I also understand the governor is going to get rid of gasoline-operated lawnmowers, chainsaws. I also heard Hochul wants to buy electric buses, which is very expensive, high maintenance, and willing to pass on the cost to the taxpayer of New York. Taxpayers will continue exiting New York due to her ignorance. Those electric buses, I mean, people are just kind of waking up to this.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, the electric mandate, especially on vehicles, trucks, it really like diesel trucks. But the school bus one is the one that's really got people's attention. I mean, this is like the mother of all unfunded mandates. I mean, you can look at it from point A to point B. First of all, they implement this beginning in January or July 27. Every new bus has to be an electric school bus. Yes, next year. And the other thing is, even more alarming to me, is by 2035 you have to convert your entire heavy-duty fleet to electric. The thing that no one can answer, the media won't ask the governor, I've asked the governors, why are we asking our school districts and local property taxpayers to have to convert their entire fleets a full 5 years before the state of New York does? The state of New York doesn't have to convert their fleet till 2040. And yet they have it out for feasibility, they have it out for cost. They don't have to do it if they don't think it's ready. The MTA, we brought this up at his hearing, they stopped purchasing them. They said they're not working, we're not going to invest in them until they're ready. So they can get out of it, but our school districts cannot do it. And you look at the cost. The cost of a diesel bus with all the bells was about $150,000. Cost of an electric bus comparable, about $400,000 to $450,000. The Empire Center did a study saying just the replacement cost alone would be $8 to $15 billion. There's Naples school superintendent just there. He's getting a lot of attention. He bought a couple and tracked it and said about, how when you turn the heat on, the range issues aren't working, the cost to move to work it. I mean, everything. And so that just the costs are $8 to $15 billion. The charging infrastructure are billions of dollars. And the other is the electric improvements you have to make. Like we did a press conference a couple of years ago. The Shenandoah School District said they would have to spend $30 billion just to include like a substation to bring the power into the school, which would be borne by the property taxpayers. Horseheads, Tom Douglas was there, said this would be about $10 million for them. This is a major unfunded mandate on our school districts and taxpayers, and it doesn't work.
Well, and you talk about that cost, but also the inefficiency of it.
The inefficiency.
We talked about it's probably the end of away games, just little things like that. And you got some of our more rural districts, the charge won't last for a whole route.
No. And then that's the thing. You're going to need more school buses because sometimes you can't get them charged back in time enough to get them back out on the road. So you're going to have more in bus costs. And I was talking to a couple of colleagues. They said there was a report out there that they're looking at. Some people are recommending that if you have these buses, like concrete dividers between each one, could you imagine the cost of that? Because they were worried about fires. Could you imagine the cost if that were to happen? I guess there was just a story in Tioga County where some EV buses were caught on fire too. I mean, it's just one thing after. I don't understand.
Watching those fires of that's terrifying.
That's the other thing about that is, if there's kids on a school, they're dead. They're not getting off. These batteries are right underneath them. If a fire starts on a diesel, probably near the engine, I'm guessing, which is in the front of the bus, from what I understand, at least they have a chance. But if you have an EV school bus fire, they're right underneath. Those things burn fast, hot, and quick. And the other problem with this is just like the CLCPA. There's never a cost-benefit analysis done. There's no feasibility study done.
Yeah.
So our bill, we have a bill in that would basically get rid of the 2035 deadline to convert your entire fleet. Instead of having to start purchasing in 2027, you wouldn't have to start purchasing in 2045, which is really when all new heavy-duty begins, or until the state of New York converts their heavy-duty fleet, whichever happens latter. So school districts and property taxpayers wouldn't have to do this for a while and make sure the technology advances to the point where it can be done safely and effectively, which I don't think it can be. Then it would also include, how about a cost study analysis, see how much it's going to cost school districts before they implement this. How about a feasibility study with the NISO and the utilities and the PSC to see if the grid can handle it. The grid can't handle it. The grid's not ready for it. Do that too. How about a safety analysis about fire, suppression and fire, with these things? How about to ensure that the materials used to produce the batteries are sourced with U.S. materials, rather than relying on cobalt from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where it's well documented they use child labor, or lithium from the lithium triangle in South America, where it's well documented they're poisoning water, rivers, and streams in those areas. It's almost like if kids are dying there and water, rivers, and streams are being poisoned in other countries, it's okay if it's helping us meet our so-called green energy goals.
For what
and there's
reason?
nothing green. There's nothing green about. The only thing green about this is what it's going to cost you, the viewer, and higher energy green dollars that you're paying in higher rates, and green dollars that you're paying in higher taxes.
All right, a couple of viewers. Well, listen to this, Phil. Good morning, Phil, my favorite guest. Isn't that nice? Another one.
Thank you.
Once
Thanks,
again,
Mom.
Yeah, right. You got another one, though. Once again, Mark, thank you for mentioning again what happened when Phil was speaking. That's about the cell phones. And Frank, you're the best. And nothing for nothing, Phil, you are the best. Thank you for what you do for New York State. Oh, very nice. Listener LJ writes in, I know Hydro-Quebec was built out last century with the premise to supply all New England. I think 2 lines have been completed and 1 for New York City in progress. Anything on upstate New York for us?
No, that line is specifically designated for New York City, and only New York City is going to benefit from it. But you, the viewer, are going to help pay for it through increased rates on your utility bills. Some estimates is going to increase, by 10% just on this thing alone. Yeah. And the thing that they think, the reason this is being done is because the brilliance of our former governor that decided to shut down Indian Point nuclear power plant that provided 25% of the power to New York City, and was clean energy, by the way, was dispatchable, reliable energy. That's the thing with nuclear. It's dispatchable, it's reliable, it's base load generation. Wind and solar is not base load generation. You can't count on it to meet the needs of dispatchable base load generation. That's one of the reasons that we see with rates increasing, because the NISO even said that as well. And I can elaborate that on a little bit more in a minute. I don't want to go too off the rails. But yeah, and oh, by the way, if Quebec needs the power, they're going to give the power to Canada. They're not contracted to provide all that power to New York City. So New York City is going to have to rely on more fossil fuel plants, natural gas, oil, things of that nature, peaker plants. So they might think that power is going to be there for when they need it. But if Canada needs it, they're going to give it to Canada. Yeah. And there's no guarantee it's going to come. But the only one who benefits from it is New York City. But who pays for it? Everybody. To benefit New York City, because they made the decision to shut down Indian Point.
Comment from a different viewer. Thank you, Phil, for fighting for us and sanity. And Mark writes in, school taxes are terrible now. If they go totally electric school buses, how much will taxes increase? Double, triple, probably even more. Who knows? The problem with that is that still has to be approved. Now, think of the budgets here in Corning Painter Post. A lot of times the first one isn't approved, then we get the second one. You imagine seeing that on your ballot?
Well, the thing about it is...
Didn't it fail in Ithaca when they had one of all places?
Well, the school bus purchases are usually a vote by the public.
Yeah.
And they're failing, and they should. Yeah. I would not vote for them. I wouldn't tell people to do this. We got to fight this thing.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense. But my fear is they're going to get to the point where they're going to take the vote away and they're going to mandate it. And then it's just going to be part of your budget process that you're going to deal with. You got lots of issues that school districts are talking about. You got this that's outstanding that they're concerned about. Rising health insurance costs are going through the roof. And, they're talking about pension reform too, to enhance pension benefits. All this thing is going to be back on the property taxpayer they have to deal with. So these things all have to be taken into consideration when you're doing these types of policies. They might sound good and good in theory, good in practice, but in the implementation of it is not a good thing. I had an interview the other day on energy policy, and I said it's not important to be first.
Right.
It's important to do it right.
Yeah, we read that.
To be right.
Yeah. You're exactly right. Before we go, old habits die hard, huh? Ways and Means. Remember, you're on the Ways and Means committee now.
I am. Yes.
No, they let you talk energy, right? This is a safe space here.
Yeah, it is.
Well, look at how many. I mean, I know I joke about it, but how many people are? That's what they want to talk about because they're outraged at what is headed our way, which already is here.
Well, and the one house budgets did nothing to address that issue.
No.
What they did is they did they want to freeze rates for 2 years. But I said that doesn't reduce rates. That just keeps them where they are.
Yeah.
And they want to do the rebate check, which was part of our plan. That's a
Right.
Band-Aid,
It's
but you got to do more than that. We got to rebate the
can't be it.
$2.4 billion that's already been collected from the ratepayers that NYSERDA is holding on to for green energy programs and mandates, and also to suspend the taxes, fees, assessments, and surcharge, which can make up to 20% of your bill. If we did those few things in conjunction, that would provide direct, immediate ratepayer relief right now, at least. And then we have to do things to protect the future, which we need to repower natural gas plants that have been shut down, build new natural gas power plants. Here's a novel idea. Why don't we let fracking happen in the southern tier? Because when you have supply and you don't have pipeline constraints, which the NYSO said,
Right.
you have declining generation and retirements, you have rising fuel prices and pipeline constraints and increased electrification. This is all caused by the green energy mandates. And Governor Hochul's out there saying it has nothing to do with it. She's so out of touch.
This is her exact quote. The false narrative is that I'm telling people their utility rates are higher because of the CLCPA. That would be a stupid thing to say because it's not in effect yet. I'm trying to stop your utility bills from going higher by rolling this out with a longer runway.
Well, we need to stop them because it is going to go higher with it. I mean,
Yes.
their own governor, their own agency came out and said if we don't pause, stop, or delay this thing, it's going to increase home heating costs by people up to over $4,000 annually. It's going to increase the price of a gallon of gas for viewers by over $2.23 a gallon. $2.23 more than what it is today. Yeah. For diesel, $2.41 more than it is today.
Yeah.
It's going to increase utility costs for small and medium commercial businesses by up to 46%, depending on your utility and facility size. And the other one, it would increase home delivery truck operations by over 60%. What does that mean? Your food prices are going to go up.
Everything.
What does that mean? Yeah, everything's going to go up because 96% of our goods are shipped by the trucking industry. How we talk about an affordable housing crisis. Your lumber costs are going to be shipped, and those prices are going to increase as well. And then you got this regulation out there, the Advanced Clean Truck Rule, that they want to make all trucks in New York electric.
Yeah.
That's just going to devastate the trucking industry in New York.
Yeah.
You're going to have the trucking industries from outside New York waiting on the border, and they're going to be the ones making all the deliveries. But it's going to be more mileage, it's going to be more cost, and the people are going to pay for it. It just makes no sense.
No, it's like they want us to not pay attention, and the cost. And the thing is, the numbers you cited are their numbers.
Their numbers. Everything's their numbers. $250 billion to $500 billion. When I went through when I spoke down in Washington, I said these are their numbers, not mine.
Yeah.
Increase the price to convert your home from natural gas to electric, $20,000 to $50,000 by 3 different estimates.
Yeah.
I mean, $43 billion in future ratepayer increases approved by the PSC. That already happened to pay for the green energy mandates. That's there. I mean, it's one thing after another. The cost to increase of your home, new home construction, according to builders, over up to $25,000. And for every $1,000 you increase the price of a home, 7,000 New Yorkers are denied home ownership. Those are their numbers, not my numbers.
Wow. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. We got a lot of comments coming in. Is Hochul and her puppet masters really this stupid? I don't know if you want to answer that. Comment from a different viewer. They know this is a federal issue, but you're so smart, they say. I was just wondering if you had a crystal ball on ideas on how they could get this government moving.
Well, number one, I appreciate the compliment. Number two, if I could figure that out, I'd be in a much different position than I am right now. I have enough challenges dealing with Governor Hochul and progressives and socialists in Albany, but I appreciate the compliment, and hopefully that can get figured out and do the right thing for the people.
Good morning, Phil and Frank. I don't know why any parent would be so irresponsible as to put their child on a bus that is basically a giant firebomb. The safety involved in this, and it's not often spoken of, but it should be of a concern to everyone. Yeah.
We speak about it a lot, believe me.
Yeah. Ken writes in, Phil, thank you for being the point of common sense spear in Albany. The last time you were on the most informative talk show in America, frankly speaking, listen to that, you noted the investment information for our politicians is a matter of public record. Where can the layperson find the financial disclosures, and does anyone check to see if they are disclosing every investment they have, or do they assume that they are just telling the truth?
Yeah, you can go to the Legislative Ethics Commission. They have that information. If you have a hard time finding it, just contact my office. I'll make sure we get you to the right people.
Okay, great. All right, so just to kind of wrap up, even though we've went down a bunch of different areas, the budget status, where are we at today?
Well, as we discussed, both sides have passed their one-house budgets. That happened last Thursday, a week ago Thursday.
Okay.
This week we did the initial one-house or general budget conference committees. I was part of the general budget committee, which they called the mothership. And that was just kind of set the tone. It's really, like I said, it's more pro forma. And now, obviously those discussions are ongoing between the governor and legislative leaders. Obviously, we're continuing to add our input on policies we think and funding that should be addressed and included in the budget. And we continue to urge more fiscal restraint. We've called for a spending cap because if you look at, under Governor Cuomo, and I would give him credit on this, he kind of insisted on a 2% cap on state spending. I mean, the all funds goes up, but that's been blown through. I mean, I think the projections on the state spending on this is over $5 billion, 5%, and not 5 billion, 5%. So that's problematic because you keep spending this amount of money. I mean, certainly Medicaid costs continue to grow, other costs continue to grow. So that would be helpful, but they don't seem to want to control spending. They want to increase taxes. Again, we don't have a revenue problem in New York State. We have a spending problem.
Exactly. Now let's talk, because you've been doing a great job, and that's some of the clips we've been playing. Tell us about the HALT bill.
Oh, yes. As you know, we've been talking about the need to first repeal HALT for years. Since its implementation, the first 3 years, the statistics are pretty staggering because every year we talk about repealing, and they say we need more stats. We need more stats. So after year 3, inmate assaults increased 169% to a record level of nearly 3,000 assaults. Inmate on staff assaults increased 76% to a record level of just over 2,000 assaults. And also contraband seizures increased 32% from 3,500 to a record level of 4,700. Now, that was the issue they were talking about with the work protests. Some people I still call it a work protest because it was not safe conditions. When I went out there, they wanted to be safe and they wanted a quality of life because they were getting massive overtime.
Any other profession, this would not be a question.
Right, but you want people to be safe, and you would think that if they don't want the corrections officers to be safe, they want the inmates to be safe, and that's where you see the growth. I mean, I just saw a colleague of mine just sent me a story up north that someone sent a drone in dropping off drugs. Dropping off weapons. I mean, are you kidding me? And this is happening. We've put in bills to keep to require a drug dog at every correctional facility. They don't do that. We've asked for better screening. They don't do that. Body scan.
Remember when you were in that one hearing where and I don't remember who his name was, he was blaming the corrections officers for the drugs coming in.
Yes. I mean,
I was shocked.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Are you that clueless? I mean, give me a break. But so what happened is, that's what they want to address, and they had the work stoppage stopped. So there's a committee that came together, Governor's Office of Employee Relations, Department of Corrections, Docs, Commissioner, and NYSCOBA all signed this agreement. And this agreement was applauded by all the public employees units, PEP, CSCA, ASPR. They all came in together and said, this is a good thing. It wasn't a repeal. But it was, in my opinion, my comment was it's a step in the right direction. It would do things like basically expand offenses that would be eligible for segregated confinement. And I hate when people say solitary confinement, it's segregated confinement. Because solitary confinement means you have no interaction with people. That's nonsense because you have people coming through every half an hour. You have supervisors coming through every hour. You have clergy, you have mental health counselors. They have other They get iPads and tablets where they can make phone calls and emails on. They have unfettered access, so it's not solitary, but it is segregated confinement, and you need to segregate the most dangerous and violent inmates from the rest of the general population. There are some inmates that really just want to do their time and move on, but it's a dangerous environment. You're specializing in giving more treatment to these people who are committing dangerous crimes inside of correctional facilities versus those who are in the general population. So some of those people are in the general population are having opportunities taken away from them. But the assaults keep happening. Just happened up at Auburn last week. There was somebody was slashed. And then 4 other corrections officers got hurt through the altercation too. and it's like they want to continue to
Well, then
ignore it.
going back to the other hearing that you had, where we have time and time again can show these violent attacks, and then they want to go to that kind of extreme hyperbole where, well, someone throws a paper cup at someone, that shouldn't count in the statistics. What are we talking? Why are we wasting everybody's time?
Yeah, I mean, it's just mind-blowing. But so what happened is you had this agreement.
Yeah.
For all these points, some of the things I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Significant steps in the right direction. Not ending it, but modifying it to make our corrections officers safer, make other civilian employees safer, to make the other inmates safer.
Right.
My question is, why didn't the governor put this in her budget? That's why I questioned the docs and the governor's office of employee relations at the budget hearing. I don't know if I sent you that clip, where I said, he goes, well, that's up to docs. I go, you signed, your name's on the agreement. This is your name.
Yeah.
Why? And you work for the governor.
Yeah.
Why is it not in? Why didn't she put that in her 30-day amendments?
Yeah.
Why didn't she put that? If she was serious about protecting her corrections officers, she would have put it in her budget. Then she's negotiating from a position of strength. She's put policy in her budget before, but why not this? Because she doesn't have the backbone to stand up to the progressives and socialists and the legislature. So we had a press conference with this week with NYSCOBA, with other corrections officers from the city, pushing for these provisions. Let's adopt it. It's basically exactly what they asked for. It's common sense to make our facilities safer for everybody, and we'll see what happens. But the best thing the governor could have done is put it in her budget. Then she's negotiation from position of strength. Because there are some colleagues that I work with, they don't want to change anything. They want to make it worse for corrections officers. They want to give inmates more and more freedom. They want to let them out on the streets, quite frankly.
Right.
So here's a common sense legislation. So we stood with our corrections officers. We always will. We'll always have their backs, just like we know they have our back. And I always tell people, people go by the hill over there in Elmira.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on.
They
They
don't
don't want to know.
No,
they just know they want the bad guys to stay in there, but they want our people to be safe. And I think people got a little bit of attention there during the working protest, and the public support for them were incredible.
Yeah.
It'd just be nice if this governor and the progressives and socialists in Albany showed them a little bit of appreciation and respect that they deserve and have earned.
I would agree. We better take a short break. Keep those comments, keep those waves coming in. We'll be right back after this. Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio we have Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Phil, a couple comments from viewers. Sure. Mark writes in, how do you stand on Hochul's bill? It's Senate 362 on a 10-day waiting period to buy a gun.
Well, Mark, I haven't seen that specific bill yet. You mentioned a Senate bill, but I will tell you, we have enough. We have enough. Why am I drawing a blank on
rules on the books?
Rules on the books. I'm sorry, I'm kind of flipping over my tongue here on Friday. On the book too, that inhibit and make it more difficult to own a firearm, make it more expensive to own a firearm. We don't need any more rules and regulations or laws in New York State to make it more difficult. We have waiting periods already in effect. We don't need anything more.
No.
And I would certainly, if that's the premise behind the bill, I would not support that bill.
And it's kind of like we talk about so often with energies. It's just virtue signaling. We already have laws in the books. It's just so some member of the Senate can go out there and do their press conference.
I get tired of watching them all. I mean, I get updates on stuff, but until they get to the floor or to my committee, it's ridiculous, and something like that is not something I would ever support.
Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Phil. Always a pleasure. Isn't that nice?
Yes.
And hi, Phil. Stop downstate from being able to use upstate as its personal supplier of green energy. Allow fracking and get the ball rolling to make upstate the 51st state. Thanks. You got a lot of work in store.
51st state might be a difficult one, but I'm off. I think we might have a better chance of getting fracking and get a 51st state.
Yeah.
That just might show how challenging it can be. But I think we should allow fracking in the southern tier, not in the Finger Lakes watershed, not in the New York City watershed, in the southern tier. And I mean, we see there are communities that are looking for nuclear too.
Yeah.
I think the southern tier would be much more receptive to fracking because of what it would bring with it. But they're getting shoved down the throat wind and solar projects, which does nothing to improve baseload dispatchable generation, and natural gas would be dispatchable baseload generation. And that when you have more supply and less constraint, that can help bring down prices. When you have less supply and more pipeline constraint, that is why it helps increase prices.
All right, we got to take one more break and then wrap up already. But Ken says New York State Democrats and common sense shouldn't be said in the same breath. If there was any common sense in respect to our prison system, they wouldn't have shuttered the $100 million Southport prison.
Oh, that was just a huge mistake.
Yes.
The amount of money they invested in it and they shut it down right after. It's crazy.
Yep. And, well, we'll save that one for the next. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking, getting ready to wrap up. Get your last second questions in. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Something than Phil Palmesano in that studio. A lot of comments coming in, Phil. I hope we got enough time to get through all of them. Mark says, great show today. You both have a great weekend. Thank you, Mark. Comment from a different viewer. I thought Hochul was leaning towards allowing nuclear power. Has she changed?
No, I think I will give her credit. She seems to be interested in getting nuclear power reestablished in New York. The problem is it's going to take some time, and that's why I continue to advocate why you continue to advance policies that will dismantle the affordable, reliable natural gas infrastructure supply and delivery system. And because natural gas is also maybe referred to as a bridge fuel.
Right.
You don't tear down a bridge before you build a new one.
Right.
But that's exactly what they're doing with their policy. So I think she does want to see nuclear. I mean, we have upstate communities that want to see nuclear.
Yeah.
I want to see nuclear because it's reliable, dispatchable, baseload generation. When you compare nuclear to wind and solar, there's no comparison.
No.
Well, one, because I just said dispatchable, baseload generation. But two, land use. You look at Indian Point, which was shut down. It was 2,000 megawatts on 240 acres. You got Fitzpatrick up in central New York. That's 800 megawatts on 900 acres. But you look at the Climate Action Council plan calls for 60 gigawatts of solar. You need 8 acres per megawatt. That's 480,000 acres of land. And it's not reliable energy. It's not dispatchable. It's not baseload generation. That's a lot of land that's going to be all taken from upstate. Same thing with wind. So there's no comparison between nuclear and wind and solar, in my opinion, for a number of reasons.
Coming from a different viewer, what is the chance of electing Mr. Blakeman for governor of New York? I also understand he is highly recommended in Nassau County.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, he's our guy. I'm totally supporting Mr. Blakeman. He can certainly win this race. There's no doubt in my mind. I just want to see him get upstate more.
Yeah.
And I think he will.
He was just in Elmira.
Yeah, he was just in Elmira. Certainly the numbers are never in our favor, but I think he has advantage. And certainly he's won in a purple district. I mean, there are more Democrats in Nassau County than there are Republicans, and he's won pretty handily. If he could bring that same message and attraction upstate, we can rally behind him. Because Governor Hochul doesn't have an agenda she can run on.
I know she must be a little scared because I know they're fighting him getting matching funds right now.
Yeah.
So, they got to be a little nervous. All right, finally, we only have a couple minutes.
Sure.
We had a little bit about the press conference, the Lakens Law and Protect Our Courts. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this time the press conference stemmed from my colleague from Long Island. There were 3 El Salvadorian nationals.
Yeah.
2 were here in the country illegally that were caught with Molotov cocktails in their possession and gasoline in the trunk of their car.
Yeah.
So they were arrested. But because of our bail reform, it wasn't a bail-eligible crime.
What?
So they were released
Molotov
back on
cocktails.
the streets. So
No
these
kidding.
individuals are back on the streets.
Yeah.
So it was a push for us to ask for Lakens Law, which was named after Lincoln Riley, who was murdered. We remember the perfect storm of terrible policies. A guy came across the border illegally, was unchecked. Joe Biden's administration let him go. Who welcomes illegal immigrants? New York, free phones, free hotels, free. Came to New York, committed a crime, was released because of the bail reform, and of course they couldn't communicate with ICE officials that this guy, illegal immigrant, committed a crime. They wouldn't do it. Went down to Georgia and murdered Riley. So this Lakens Law, we had a press conference saying let's pass Lakens Law, which would require notification with ICE officials when someone is arrested or committed a crime. That's just common sense. Even Governor Hochul says she wants the criminals out of New York State.
Right.
So why not do that? We need laws that protect the public. That's the number one goal of government, is to protect its citizens, not illegal immigrants who are committing dangerous crimes. And so we had that press conference to do that and try to put attention to this issue. I mean, I just don't understand.
No. Well, we are at times. Everything's going good. Ways and Means.
We're still there.
You're still liking it?
Yeah, the leader still has me there. He hasn't pulled me yet.
Good. Well, Phil, thanks for giving us so much time this morning. Again, a happy first day of spring, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right. Join us every weekday morning, starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV Big Fox. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, or Monday morning, bright and early. Look forward to it already.